Welcome to the latest installment of Don't Take This as Gospel. I'm Mike Partika, and welcome to episode 44, 6 Days, 12 Creations. Now, as you might expect, this is going to be a coverage of the 6 days of creation in Genesis 1. I'm going through Dennis Prager's book, The Rational Bible, Genesis, God, Creation, and Destruction, and while he covers the 6 days of creation, of course, he does not really cover the structure element of Genesis, because if you look at the structure element of Genesis 1 and how God lays out these 6 days of creation, you might not see some very important parallels between the first 3 days of creation and the last 3 days of creation, and specifically the 2 creations that go on in each. And what I'm going to show is how, roughly speaking, it's not really an exact match, but I do my best. You can look at the first 3 days of creation as the creation of environments, and then the last 3 days of creation as the creation of inhabitants for those environments. So let's get started. We're going to go to day 1. Day 1 begins with material from Genesis 1, verses 3 through 5. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness night. So, in the beginning, we had nothing but darkness, and then God creates light and separates it out so that now we have 2 environments, day and night. So that is how we start with day 1. Going on to day 2, God said, "And let there be an expanse in the midst of the water." And it was so. God called the expanse sky, and it separated the water which was below from the water which was above. So in the beginning, God creates the heavens and the earth, and according to Genesis 1-2, it's all one big mishmash of basically these heavenly cosmic waters. And this is kind of a common theme among the mythological creation stories of the day. But you've got this area of mythological cosmic waters, and now on day 1, you have light that exists and divides time into day and night, so that you have day and night for these waters. But now this is affecting these cosmic waters themselves. So whereas you had the water of the cosmos before, now you're going to have a separation. And that separation is going to separate water into the waters above and the waters below, and the midst of that gap, that expanse, is going to be called the sky. And as we'll see in another verse, in a later verse, the waters below are renamed the seas. And so the sky and the seas are the 2 environments that are newly created on this 2nd day of creation. Moving on to day 3, God said, "Let the dry land appear," and it was so. God called the dry land earth. God said, "Let the earth sprout forth vegetation," and it was so. The earth brought forth seed-bearing plants and trees. This is from Genesis 1, 9 through 12. So on day 3, what we have is dry land appearing out of the midst of the waters below, or the seas. And so now we've got this dry land. And then from the dry land, we have this creation that is reaching up out of the dry land. It is the vegetation and the trees and the grasses and all the things that reach upwards toward the sky. So those are the first 3 days of creation. We have all of these environments here. So now let's take a look at day 4. Now day 4 is going to run in parallel with day 1. God made the 2 great lights, the greater light to dominate the day and the lesser light to dominate the night. Now these, of course, are the sun and the moon. And God made the stars also. That's kind of thrown in as an afterthought. So where we had the day and the night as the 2 environments that God created on day 1, we now have these environments populated. We have the sun populating the day, and the night has the moon and stars. Likewise, day 5 is going to correspond with day 2. Day 5 says, God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures and birds that fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky." And it was so. So on the 2nd day of creation, we're left with these 2 environments called the sky and the seas, And now we have creatures, birds populating the sky, and fish populating the seas. So now we have the inhabitants created on day 5 populating the environments created on day 2. And last but not least, we have day 6. God said, "Let the earth bring forth cattle, creeping things, and wild beasts." And it was so. Then God said, "Let make man in our image, according to our likeness." And it was so. So within this environment of earth and trees that God had created, we now have the animals, and this crude cow thing is basically representing all the cattle, the creeping things, the bugs, and wild beasts and such. And then we also, from among these animals, we have man, who is the one animal who really reaches higher, just kind of as the plants and the trees reach higher from the earth, so among the animal kingdom we have man who reaches higher among the animal kingdom. He can aspire to higher things. He is a loftier type of being. And then, of course, on the 7th day, God rested. So this has been coverage of Genesis, the 7 days of creation, and trying to show the parallel structure of Genesis 1. And I'm taking some of the quotes here from Dennis Prager's book, The Rational Bible, Genesis, God, Creation, and Destruction. If you'd like to pick up a copy of this book, I'll be going into this book somewhat more in depth over the coming weeks. You can pick it up from the affiliate link that you will see in the video description. And you can also find a link there to some of my Amazon books. So take a look at that, and I will catch you in the next episode. Please do subscribe so that when the next episode comes out, you will be notified, and I will talk to you later.